Hello, everybody. I am so honored to be able to spend the next hour with the group that Andreas and DLD has put together. It's quite incredible to see 7 of the leading applied AI centers coming together to really join forces to make sure that AI works for Europe. We've just heard Aisha and Jan talked about research. And here we really are going to get stuck into how we're actually going to apply AI. And the irony isn't lost on me that a Brit with a very German surname is here to introduce a group of 7 research centers that have come together, and the English aren't yet in the group. So I thought before, I could hear you all laughing this. But so before I introduce everybody, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm the co-founder of a company called Cognition X, and we help organizations understand artificial intelligence. So we have an expert platform that connects people like who are asking questions with the experts who can answer them. So I'm really excited to collaborate with this group that's come together. The second thing that I do is I'm also the chair of the UK government's AI Council. So my role is to make sure that although these incredible 7 institutes have already come together, that the next wave, we are also at the table and supporting Europe in general. So I'm really excited to start by introducing our first speaker. We're going to have one speaker, then another, and then everyone's going to sit down, and this well-oiled team is going to explain to you what their plans are. So let's start with Andreas from Applied AI in Germany.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Welcome from my side as well. We heard yesterday a well-received and heavily discussed talk from Kai-Fu Lee, and he was actually talking about superpowers. And he said there are 2 superpowers in the 21st century, which is China and the US. And the last time I visited China, and I actually went to the fund, the Innovation Venture, which is Kai-Fu Lee's fund, I made a picture of the slide, and this basically I stole from China. I copied what they think of AI. And they have this comparison between 2 universes. And one is the Chinese one, and one is the US model. So US is really much focused on breakthrough technologies, on vision-driven innovation, on a globalized approach, and a light, which means a more software type of approach. And the China model, in contrast, is really on the fusion of technologies, on speed, on applications. It's a results-driven approach, really heavy in terms of funding, but also from an industrial perspective, and it's a localized one. So the question is, where are we in Europe on this map? And Kai-Fu Lee actually has a clear understanding that Europe is 3rd. Bronze medal doesn't count anything, and basically Europe is meaningless. And we disagree with this. And just I want to just go through a couple of areas in that. So the first one is research. Then comes innovation, application, and regulation. And in this field, Europe is not bad at all. If you look at the research, and if you look at this from a combined European perspective, we're actually #1 worldwide. We have more publication on AI papers than the US or China in a new study from Professor Harhoff. But this means we need to think as Europe. And there are also 2 initiatives, Claire and Alice, who unite the researchers in Europe to get started on this overall European idea from a research perspective. At innovation, if you look at innovation, there is a map from Asgard. They analyzed around 7,000 startups, and actually what they say is US is by far the most large nation on that. China follows second. But again, if you combine Europe, it's competitive. So it's not good at all. We're by far behind compared to the US, but still we are on the map. And as you can look closely, actually there is UK, which actually has pretty impact on this map. So Europe would be as a whole smaller than China if we don't count in UK. And also if you look at the research, UK plays a heavy role. So we need to think as Europe, even though UK might not be in the European Union anymore. And then on the application side, there was nothing existing, and that's what we want to do. We initiated an initiative with a couple of other institutions from other countries to really bring also the application area on a European level. And if you look at the partners from all of us, we actually pretty much combine the European economy as our partners. We are really close to research, but we also integrate this to innovation and regulation. We're also, each of us, part of our national AI strategies, which is a really good starting point for having impact on that. So coming back to the slide from Kai-Fu, I think there is a European way. And the European way is different than what is there in China and what is there in the US. It's based on our expertise in the industry. It's based on the domain knowledge we have in our specific fields in Europe. It should focus not only on tech, not only on application, but really on the benefits for society and nature. It's a value-driven approach. We are proud of the values we have in Europe, the privacy, the transparency, the fairness, and we should also focus on our strategy on that. We, as a team, work in collaborations. And that's what we also want to push forward. And it's, in the first place, a European perspective, but obviously we should also think of globally. And if we now think of what does this mean in terms of regulation, it really means that from a EU perspective, they should be the architects for this European model. They shouldn't be an architect for a US model or for a Chinese model in Europe, but the task of a European Commission of the politics is to be the orchestrator of what we are doing in this European model. So we need a vision, we need the regulation that follows that vision so that we also can work for this European model. And how does it look like? I just give you a quick intro and overview about what we are doing in Germany, and then we have this discussion also in this round so that you have an idea of what each of us is doing. So we in Germany, as Applied AI, as a non-profit organization, we have around 40 partners from tech, from industry, from research, and from the ecosystem around AI to really think of how do we get AI into practice. And we do this in focusing on three areas. One is the knowledge exchange. So we think of how can we all combine our knowledge in terms of the challenges we have to get a better understanding of what really counts for the application of AI. And if we do so together, then we're all fast in applying this technology. We want to publish a lot on that, and that's what I completely agree with Kai-Fu Lee, is that education is key. Education for the people who have changing roles due to the technology. So we need to help these people to understand what this technology means for them, be it a normal employee, be it engineers, be it project managers, be it deciders and managers. And the third one is proof of concept. So we need an approach, and Mr. Altmaier said this before in this experimental labs, we need an approach to really get started on AI for everyone. That means also for the smaller companies to get a basic experience what it means to apply this technology. And from that, we can then continue to grow.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant. And to give us a feel from France, we now have Ludovic from France AI Hub.
Hi everyone. So my name is Ludovic, and I'm going to talk about what we do and our purpose of making Europe an AI superpower. So I'm actually in charge of the international investment for France AI, and currently working on a new investment fund, European AI fund. We wanted to take the analogy of soccer today to actually talk about the race that's going on for AI. Like if you actually read the news about AI, everybody is talking about Cold War and these two powers fighting against each other. This, Davos after years all going to be about this democracy, this us being lost. So we actually don't think we should see the race for AI as like a kind of a Cold War or something like that, but more like a sport event, like typically like a World Cup style. And we actually think there is a timeline for that. If you look at China, really, they really wake up like about a year and a half ago. The AlphaGo moments that kind of shake China. And from there, China and obviously USA has been scooting, has been basically kind of warming up. And we believe the warm-up stage is actually going to be about for another year and a half or so. We believe the real match is actually going to start in 2020, and it's going to end in 2030. China typically have been saying to the world that by 2030 they will be number one worldwide. We think for this match, that's basically a 10 years match. There is two prizes. The first prize is actually the impact on humanity. We believe instead of talking about cybersecurity and attack and fake news and so on, we should actually talking about the impact on environment and how we can actually align our goals to the UN sustainable goals about healthcare, for disease detection, for better care of people, for mobility of people, mobility of goods. We think the second prize that nobody is talking about in Europe, and that's actually fairly shocking, to be honest, is actually the economical impact of AI. If you look at the PwC analysis about the economical impact of AI by 2030, plus $15.7 trillion will be added to the global economy. I've been using these numbers actually for a few months in my presentation, and I didn't really actually know what 15.7 trillion means. And talking with our colleagues here, well, 15.7 trillion, if you actually don't know, it's actually the size of the Chinese economy. It's about the size of the European economy, or about the size of the American economy. So we're talking literally in the next 10 years of creating another continent, another land to grab somehow, and that's a pretty big price, like the size of the Chinese economy. Now it doesn't feel really good. Like everybody, it feels like there is too big superpower, and we're not going to even be qualified to be part of this AI World Cup. It doesn't feel good to be seen as like the team who doesn't even qualify for the World Cup. If you look at current investment in AI, 90% in the last 12 months, 90% of the investment in AI has been made in two countries, China and USA. So that means the 10% remaining, that's literally Europe, Japan, Canada, etc., etc. If you want to have like the best like a worldwide team, but you actually don't put the money for it, doesn't feel good. If you look at a comparison, the Chinese envelope for AI is about, for the next 10 years, public and private combined, is about $150 billion. 150 billion sounds like, wow, that's a big amount. Even 10 billion in Europe sounds a big amount. But we're talking about a $15.7 trillion impact. So in order to actually be part of this AI World Cup, we think individually, being France or Germany or Finland or UK or the Nordics and other countries in Europe, we actually don't qualify. But we actually think if we unify, we actually have a pretty good shot, not only to be at the table, but actually possibly go for the bronze or gold medal. So our group that Andreas mentioned, that's the first stage. That's actually basically the Nordics, France, and Germany. So 7 countries, about 10 organizations for the European Applied AI. If you look at the analogy of soccer, like you actually need a good coach also who somehow give the team a common ambition. And our common ambition here is actually to play the championship. We all understood that individually we might not have a shot to play the championship, but as a team we do. The second part is to actually have common values. Like we actually think it's actually pretty impressive. This morning we had a workshop together. Some of us actually we met for the first time, literally separated in 2 teams. Even if we don't know each other, we literally come with the same words after joining together. So we think Europe actually already have like a set of values that kind of put us together and facilitates this work together. In terms of projects, we're very much aligned in terms of values to actually have focusing on a certain verticals, like typically environment, healthcare, mobility that are actually more important and maybe more aligned with the European value and maybe less important for the Chinese or for the American team. Obviously, the economical impact too. In terms of talent, I think everybody agrees that there is plenty of talent in Europe, including the Facebook and Google and the world who hired most of them. In terms of research, Europe is actually #1 for AI in front of USA and China. And within our group, we have actually a pretty big companies involved. I mean, the BMW and the ABB and the Ericsson of the world, and also some big family. In Germany through the Quen family, but also, for example, in Sweden, the Wallenberg family behind Ericsson and Seb and a few ABB and a few other companies. Our job is very much focused on the application. So research, everybody knows we're good, but we need to convert research to application. We need to continue research to be #1 and continue to be #1 within the next 10 years, but we need to apply. We need to start up and we need to scale up. We also need, meanwhile, for our team to qualify and to win to keep our talent, which means not get bought for the cheap by American or Chinese company. We need funding and we need data. And for that, we already actually start a common project where we mutualize data. That's it. And we actually have a very clear target, 2030. Want to be not only part of the race, but actually take a big part of the pie. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludovic. So now we're going to bring up your team players. We're going to bring up Antoine, also from France AI Hub, Anne from Sintef in Norway, Matthias from Fortius in Germany, Janne from VTT in Finland, Bjorn from RISE in Sweden, and Rasmus from the Danish Technological Institute. Big round of applause, please. Woo, woo, woo. I mean, from my perspective, this is quite a momentous moment. To get all of you in a room together must be difficult, and I'm so proud to say that you have. Let's start with, we're going to go, I think we got it in the right order as well. Good. See, this is what happens when you have a good, well-oiled football team. So we're going to start with Antoine, and then we're going to go down, and everyone's going to give us a little bit about themselves and why they decided to join the group, and then we're going to have an open conversation. But Antoine, could you start for us?
Yes, indeed. So France AI Hub is quite new. We are around 1 year old. And we are indeed very focused on developing AI as well in France, not only in research, but also in applied. We contribute also to the French report on AI. And we push also now a concrete project in France on the AI side.
Great. And Anne?
So I'm representing Sintef, which is a research institute in Norway, where I'm leading our focus on AI. And in Norway, the focus has mainly been on digitalization, both within the industries and the public sector. And we recently launched a report called Digital 21 with 4 strategic areas, with Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, and autonomous system. And it's all mainly focusing on developing and applying new knowledge within the industry. While we still don't have an AI strategy in Norway, the industry is seeing the importance of this. both that is crucial for productivity, growth, and competitiveness. And that's why we have the biggest companies in Norway chipping in on what's called the Norwegian Open AI Lab. And it's also very important that we work together in Europe because we see that we have a lot of the same challenges. So I'm very happy to be within this alliance.
Matthias.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Matthias. I'm from Fortis. Just some words for Fortis. Fortis is a research and transfer institute for software-intensive systems and services. We are associated to the Technical University of Munich, and I'm responsible for the AI activities within these organization. As we have a strong focus in the transfer part, we try to get in close collaborations with SMEs and trying to enable them to implement AI solutions at present. And this is why we think when we focus on where we're located, we're here in Munich, we are strongly focusing on the manufacturing and automotive industry. So we think learning from other institutions is the best way to find a solution for our problems within the local business we have to support. And this is why we are here and why we connect with other research.
Thank you. And Janne.
Hi, so I'm Janne Jarvinen from Finland. And I called this morning to Helsinki. It's minus 20 degrees, so if you think Munich is cold, it's even colder up there. So, but in Finland, we are one of the first countries to create a national strategy for the AI, and we've been working with the government since then to come up with a comprehensive follow-up on this strategy. And as part of that, I'm part of the Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence. That's set up with Helsinki University, Aalto University, and VTT, the State Research Center, where I'm personally employed, and I'm also leading their team of 150 people focusing on big data and AI. And I'm really thrilled to be in this European collaboration to take things further. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bjorn?
My name is Björn Hovstadius, and I represent Sweden. And I guess we also have a quite massive investment and comprehensive AI program on a national level. So I represent today on stage both a program called WASP. We have a person here from there if you are interested later. It's a massive scale-up of the education in the universities of basic research in the AI field. And I work at the research institute called RISE, where we do applied research. And also I think what we are trying to bring to this equation is that we are taking a holistic view, if you will, of the whole ecosystem of AI. And something that hasn't really been addressed very much during these days is also the sustainability, because if you look at the massive computation, the massive data that actually is needed to drive this, we need big data centers. Data centers consume energy. So we have a research facility in the northern part of Sweden where we're actually trying to address those issues and also trying to do some creative things with the energy that actually is being used, like growing vegetables in a farm closely located with the data centers. So I think that is one thing that Europe is unique in the sense that we also try to address sustainability here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Rasmus. I come from Denmark, the smallest country represented here. So it speaks for itself when I say that I'm very pleased to be here, because united we stand a lot stronger than we do individually. I work at the Danish Technological Institute. We are a private organization, not for profit, and we're self-owned, meaning that we do whatever we find necessary to help society gain traction in certain areas, which is very important. And AI is one of these areas. So we do a lot to engage various domain experts in applying relevant technology. But to have the verticals, the domains, actually understand a thing as AI is not trivial. So we, at DTI, the Danish Technological Institute, we combine expertise in the domains with the specific technology expertise. So we have this opportunity to actually bring technology to life. And I hope we can do that on a European scale here together. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, I mean, all of you have, in your own right, got a whole world of things going on, and to come together is amazing. So let's start with Anna. What does success for this group look like? For the Alliance, 5 years' time, what will you have achieved?
I think the main goal for us will be to promote and create European applied AI, both for the benefit of society and economy, to make sure that we have a sustainable future for Europe. And then we're thinking both the value for Europe, AI for humanity, and also how we can support UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah. Does anyone else in their country focused AI on the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
So in Denmark, we don't have a specific focus on how to actually bring AI into society from a political perspective. We have a digitalization strategy, which is very good and very well. But in order to take AI out of that and focus on that individually, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that requires a lot of effort. And we cannot wait only for the political system to actually do this. So we need to engage from the bottom up as well.
Yeah.
I think, so we sat down together this morning and we discussed a bit about what AI means for Europe. And for me personally, I think what success would be if we get the best practices from one country also distributed and used in the other countries. One example is Finland, is with this elements of AI activities pushing for at least 1% of the population to be educated on AI, and they built this and they published it and open sourced it, and like I think we can all use what's being built in Finland to apply it to other countries, to add up to this, to have really a European activity going on. And I think if we actually can make this, that would be a huge success for us.
Jana, did you want to add to that?
Yes, if they talk about the successes, I think that the AI will change the whole society in the ways that we cannot even think about right now. So I think that that's why we need to have a comprehensive approach to that. But like one thing we discussed this morning was that, for example, it may be possible that in a few years we can all speak our own language in Europe and understand each other through the technology. So that could be a practical way how you see the success of AI.
I love that idea. That would be great for me, especially. All Europeans can speak at least one other language, but not us awful British. Tell me, Antoine, what do you see as the biggest opportunity, and why is AI any different to other technology? Why is this such a big opportunity for you to come together?
For example, as an opportunity, if Ludovic said that in 2030 it will be something, a challenge like 15 trillion dollars, but if we take only 1/3 of that, it will be 5, and 5 billion in 10 years. It's a 2% GDP growth per year, so it's quite the double of our growth today. So it's just so amazing that the challenge to face is huge. But if we want to be huge, as we just said before, we must be unified. And for example, we started to share data sets on language, so have to gather not only one language, but also together, we have, in Europe, we have something like 15 languages. So it will be quite a challenge. There are also projects that also are pushed in France, but we would like to broaden to Europe. For example, we have also a project on media. Of course, everybody knows that news is a question now. Fake news, true news, social news, whatever news you want. And indeed, it's another project that we would like to share. Of course, today we are hosted by Buddha, so it will be a pleasure to share data from German media. In France, we have already engaged a project also with France Television and Radio France, and we are talking also with the Finnish broadcasters, so as to share media and to train AI, because the main opportunities of AI is also it's much more industrial than classic digitalization. It's much more deep to every industrial process, and so we must go deeper to this kind of sector, and media, for example.
So it's clear why you were motivated. Rasmus, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about why you were motivated to join this group. And
well, yes, absolutely. Coming back to my point before, that Denmark is not that big, doesn't mean that we don't do anything to actually engage in state-of-the-art technology. We do a lot of that, and if you take per capita and do the index on that basis, we do quite well in Denmark on the research side. But that doesn't really matter when you scale up, because Denmark as a country doesn't scale. We do very good and we can maintain ourselves. But to generate a sustainable future, I do not believe that we can do that individually. We need to come together. So for us, it was quite natural to reach out to see if there was anyone else sharing the same idea, the same perspective on AI technology in society. And luckily for us, there was. So we also believe that we cannot wait for the political system to act on its own. A lot of things are already happening now in Europe and in the rest of the world. Europe has been standing still for a while, but right now a lot of things are happening. But it needs to happen from the political perspective as well as from the ground up. And from the ground up is where we act. We are directly connected to the entire industry throughout Europe. So we have a way to actually engage technology at industry level. And this is what we need to explore further in this group, I think.
Mm. Matthias, do you feel the same in Germany? Like, is this a ground-up movement, or is this also with the government?
Yeah, bringing research to small and medium-sized enterprises is really difficult. That's true for Germany as well. The main reason is because we have a quite heterogeneous market with various different companies that are involved, and they are very specific in their specific domain. And this is the great opportunity at this point for Europe, or for Germany also, to say, okay, we have a domain knowledge in every part, in every sector, and we need to identify the opportunities or the next steps where AI can serve as a solution for any kind of problem that's there. But there needs to be a translation from the domain problem, which is, to a maybe technical solution for it. And this can't be done only with the focus of the Bavarian lens on, or only with the German lens. So we can share the knowledge within different companies or different countries to say, okay, which kind of applicable solution can also be applied in Germany or in the Bavarian industry.
Mm. And how does that play out in Sweden, Bjorn? Have you found how those two things, the groundswell versus government intervention, how have you found those things coming together?
Sorry, it's really hard to hear your question.
It's not
because the sound goes.
Sorry. The others were explaining how the government has got involved in the initiatives. How's that happen in Sweden?
Okay, so in Sweden, I think it...
Really? Wait a second.
Oh, I think we...
Was that gone? No, we're good. Keep going. Don't listen to the officials.
I think it's in Sweden it was really very much a push from us in the community, in the ecosystem, really urging the government to take action. And so we've had sort of the initial success in actually having what we call a national AI initiative. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you're following in the news in Sweden, but we've had a period where we haven't really had a government for a number of months here. So even though they announced this initiative, the money we still have not seen yet. So there's still many things to be done quite a bit in Sweden.
Of course.
Sure.
So to catch up on the money part and the funding part, we do quite well in Europe generally. But there is something that needs to be tackled, which Andreas also mentioned before. So someone really needs to find a way to go around this issue to make sure that we do have a future, right?
Mm. Janne, how do you see this, the challenge of fundraising and making sure that the government's involved? What are the big challenges that we're going to face?
Yes, I think that many countries have already stepped up with this, but I still think that more is needed. Like Ludovic was saying that, okay, there's 15 trillion at stake, and it's a number, it's really hard to grasp that. I mean, you just have to, it's a mind-boggling number, But the game is on right now, and there are big players like the US and China who are putting lots of money to get that big pie in the end. And I think in Europe we need to do the same and to be in the race. So especially when it comes to funding new companies, funding companies to grow and scale up. So we do have some funding already. We are learning how to do startups, but what to do after that? Like in Finland, we have this slush community which is really active. But where is the European-wide funding for bigger investments? So I think that's really one of the key challenges here. So the game is on, and we need to act so we can actually take part in even that race.
Yeah, we need to shine a light, don't we? Right where no one's looking. Matthias.
So I also want to add to that. I think in Europe we have the general problem that we simply don't get much money. Compared to the US, compared to China, the money we have here, and let's face it, it will never be as much as in China. Because somehow we're not as much risk-taking. There are many other things the European Commission and others need to take care of. So the question is, how can we most efficiently use this money? And efficiently use it is not that everyone is doing the same things, but actually joining and working together on these topics, because then we get most efficient. And if there are good startups in other countries in Europe, why don't we provide them the platform also to get to the rest of the countries in Europe, because that's our only chance to be successful if we spend this money that we have really efficiently, because otherwise we don't have much, and if we don't think of how we spend it, then we will lose it.
Yeah, that brings me to think a little bit about co-funding and where corporations come in. So in the UK, our sector deal is actually almost $1 billion, but it's with government and industry. So Matthias, tell us a little bit about how companies can get involved in this. I mean, we're in the home of BMW. How can you all join in and help this lot out?
Let's assume they wouldn't ask already. So. Funding is twofold. I would say if there's a company that has really amount of money and say, okay, do some research for us, we are free, just come, we're getting in contact and make some project with us. That's the easiest part. That's not the focus, I would say, where for us, Fortis is on. We are more focused into small and medium-sized companies. So the question is how to leverage them to how to find funding mechanisms so that they can use, or that they have access to research and to partners with the network. And at present, all the funding mechanisms are really hard for the small and medium-sized enterprise to join. There are national funds available, right? They can apply on research consortia, and they can join a 1, 2, 3, or 5 years research program and have the solution hopefully after this period. But I think to try something more out, to create short project funds, let's say 50,000 euros for the start, would give a huge more impact, because that would facilitate the small and medium-sized companies to try something out, and they can have access to some researchers. And if BMW would come, I would say they have no problem in funding us or give us some money for research. Even if the research isn't done by Fortis or by one single institution, we could spread over the network and would find a proper partner for the specific problem BMW would want to address.
So you know where to come afterwards if you're interested in getting involved. Come and find one of us afterwards. Rasmus, you were going to add something?
Yeah, it was just related to the small and medium-sized companies, that in Europe we have a lot of small and medium-sized companies, and we need to keep focus on them. We have been doing that for a while from a European centralized perspective, but I have not seen any combined European approach to actually tackle this. Everything is distributed into national organizations and national initiatives, and we have one of those in Denmark as well, but we should really aim at having one on a European level, where the larger companies are willing to invest in new research, to apply it and to make it usable, not only for themselves, but also for the smaller and medium-sized companies, because the small companies, they cannot invest the time and resources to use technology even though it might be available. One of the biggest barriers to not include or introduce AI and similar technology in small and medium-sized companies are the lack of knowledge and the lack of resources. So we need to address both aspects in order to make a difference, which is a big challenge on a European level, but we need to address it somehow.
Yeah, and so that's how companies can get involved, but beyond, there might be people in the audience who are from other applied institutes. How would you suggest they got involved with this group?
So, I mean, obviously we are trying to create this as a very big, happy family, hopefully. And so I think we see this as coming in a couple of waves, where what you see on stage right now is the first wave, where we are now just forming the, I guess, the ways of working and how we can scale this initiative. And so the second wave would be where we then invite other institutes and players in Europe to join us, and maybe even the UK if you're still there.
We'll always be in Europe.
But even if you don't, we're probably going to ask you to join as well.
We'd love to, yeah.
Good. And I think also there's a third wave where we are wanting to reach out also to other geographies. And I think somebody in the group mentioned that the Arabic world is a, I guess, sort of a terra incognita when we talk about AI today, but probably have lots of potential. So there's definitely, it's an open initiative. So anybody that feels that they want to connect with us, just reach out and talk to us, and then we'll make sure that you get both all the information we have and also that we connect with you in the next wave.
Thank you. And I think with that said, I want to do two things. So one is to give everyone on the stage a big round of applause. And then secondly, I've asked Steffi to join us and get an official photograph, because this is quite a momentous moment to have all these people in one room. So thank you to the crowd. And Steffi, please join us for a photograph.